This News is the first to report that it appears the person responsible is gubernatorial candidate and first child of Midlands, Drew Walton. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, but all evidence points to Drew Walton as the person who shot Professor Lane Hamilton. What we know right now is that Midlands police have taken Drew Walton away from the Civic Center, and all signs indicate homicide charges are forthcoming. Members of the jury, those exact words reached the ears of over 7 million people on September 24th, 2010. Ask yourselves, what story do they tell? What message do they convey? They do not convey the truth. They do not convey any sense of doubt. They convey a blatant accusation. BNN's broadcast on September 24th, 2010 left no room for interpretation. The broadcast was false, reckless, and destructive. When you go back into the deliberation room to decide, ladies and gentlemen, the judge will instruct you on the law. All you need to know right now is those 3 points. The broadcast was false, reckless, and destructive. Number 1, the broadcast was false. You heard how Reagan Thomas told 7 million people all signs indicate homicide charges are forthcoming. All evidence points to Drew Walton as the person who shot Professor Lane Hamilton. Members of the jury, that is false. Tonight, you heard how a janitor at the Civic Center told Reagan Thomas that Walton did not shoot Hamilton. You heard how Walton's driver told Thomas that Walton did not shoot Hamilton. All evidence did not point to Drew Walton. Reagan Thomas conveniently failed to mention the evidence that contradicted his story. It is clear, ladies and gentlemen, Reagan Thomas lied in his broadcast. He did not present the truth and let the people decide. Instead, he decided for them. Because at BNN, they distort and they decide. That brings us to our second point. The broadcast was reckless. You heard about the eyewitnesses who told Reagan Thomas that Walton did not shoot Hamilton. How did Thomas respond to those witnesses? With ignorance. In fact, members of the jury, opposing counsel has dedicated Reagan Thomas as their party opponent. He is in the courtroom today, and they have failed to call him to the stand. What do they have to hide, members of the jury? Why would they fail to call the very man who made the broadcast, which brings us here today, to the stand? Why would they hide his testimony from you? Because they knew he was reckless. They knew he didn't care about the truth. They knew the broadcast was false, reckless, and destructive. They knew that Reagan Thomas would have told you that today, so they kept him off the stand. That brings us to our third point. The broadcast was destructive. Ladies and gentlemen, after BNN's broadcast, Drew Walton's lead in the polls disappeared. Overnight, her 12-point lead became a deficit. Remember, members of the jury, just before the broadcast, Drew Walton had essentially sealed the election with a stellar performance in a nationally televised debate. After the broadcast, her lead vanished, her donors dried up, and just a few weeks later, she lost that election. Drew Walton's career has not recovered to this day, and it is all because at BNN, they distort and they decide. Now, Drew Walton can never follow in her father's footsteps. She can never serve the state of Midlands. She can never serve her country. Plaintiff has met our burden of proof. We have proven beyond clear and convincing evidence that BNN is liable of defamation. That is why we ask for a verdict in favor of the plaintiff. Because BNN has distorted many things, members of the jury. But you must not let them distort the truth. Thank you.